almost 9 years now, I've been volunteering at Emily Griffith Technical College. This school provides many different classes and programs to adults from all different educational backgrounds. They also teach English language classes to adult immigrants and refugees. The school is located in downtown Denver, and students commute from all over the metro area to take classes here. In essence, the culture of the school is shaped by the culture of the entire metro area. For this project, I initially set out to complete the community-based activity in Sonia Nieto's book, which required me to research the community in which you teach or plan to teach. Find out something about the racial, ethnic, social class makeup of the community. Explore the community organizations and agencies, particularly those that focus on culture. What activities do they sponsor? How relevant are those activities to the life of the community? Having some knowledge of the student body of Emily Griffith, I knew this task could be challenging, and as I would come to discover, the students that I personally surveyed at this school spoke 21 different languages. They hailed from 20 different countries and 5 different continents, and they ranged in age from 17 to 54. So from the outset, I knew I didn't want to focus on any one of these specific cultures. Instead, I wanted to look at the culture of the school as a whole. According to Sonia Nieto, culture is ever-changing values, traditions, social and political relationships, and a worldview created, shared, and transformed by a group of people bound together by a combination of factors, including common history, geography, location, language, social class, and religion. Nieto also states that culture is created and socially constructed. It's constantly evolving. Culture is what we do every day. It constructs us and we construct it. It is learned and not inherited. Besides taking classes at Emily Griffith Technical College, what is something that each of these students does every day? They commute from their home to the college. Now in Denver, our urban culture is always changing. One recent change, scooters. Dockless scooters that can be rented with an app on a mobile phone showed up on our sidewalks a few months ago, and they have proliferated ever since. Our streets are congested, and no doubt traffic has worsened over the past few years. Can these scooters help alleviate that situation? The Washington Post states that all of the different scooter startups competing on the streets, quote, launched amid high-minded talk of getting us from bus stop to cubicle with micro-mobility options and very wonky last-mile solutions. Recently, On the Media described the changes in transit this way.
And then we have these sort of subsequent innovations in transportation, horse-drawn carriages or streetcars, the Model T, interstate highways. Each of these innovations sort of radically changes what it means to commute.
And what it means to belong to a city.
So the culture of the city has recently been impacted by the arrival of these scooters. How relevant are these scooters to the culture of Emily Griffith Technical College? According to Ovando and Combs, a change in one aspect of a culture can affect many other aspects of a culture. Boundaries of a culture are highly permeable. They also state that central socialization settings such as Emily Griffith Technical College fuse elements from both cultures rather than separating them. Acculturation is a process by which one cultural group takes on and incorporates one or more cultural traits of another group, resulting in new and blended patterns. So downtown Denver appears to have embraced the scooters. What about the students at the college? Did they use them as well? This is what I set out to discover. I prepared a survey that asked the following questions. Where are you from? What is your age? What languages do you speak? How long does it take you to get to Emily Griffith Technical College from your home? Do you take the bus or drive? Have you ever used a Lime or Bird scooter? Have you ever used any brand of electric scooter? And finally, in your opinion, is there anything that would make you more comfortable with trying these scooters? My goal was to obtain responses from as many students as I could, regardless of their English language ability. According to Nieto, sociocultural mediators learn about their students, they help them negotiate academic spaces, and they affirm student identities while helping them explore the world. Ovando and Combs state that multicultural education is built on the promise of the need for all minority and majority members to participate equally in a culturally pluralistic society. So what did that mean to me? It meant that I would get my survey translated into as many different languages as I could. With the help of some bilingual friends of mine, I was able to translate my survey into Spanish, French, and Arabic. Sharon McCreary, the volunteer coordinator at Emily Griffith Technical College, recommended that I also have the survey translated into Dari and Swahili. I later learned that Dari is the language spoken by the students from Afghanistan. I didn't have any friends that spoke these languages, so I paid a translation company to translate my survey for me into those languages. The first morning that I set out to distribute my survey, I bought a couple dozen voodoo donuts to entice people to participate. I set up my table right outside the elevator on the 4th floor where the English language classes are located. As the students arrived, most of the English language students surveyed my treats and said, "Nope, too sweet." However, there were also cosmetology classes occurring on the floor at that time as well. The students, most of whom were born in the U.S., were happy to fill out my survey in exchange for a donut. I decided that collecting answers from them could prove to be interesting as well. While my donuts weren't successful, fortunately for me, the English language teachers at the college were interested in my subject. They had me come around to their classes and distribute my survey to their students because, they said, there's nothing more American than filling out a survey. Nieto recommends that we constantly question what one is doing and whether it is enough to reach all students. With this in mind, I decided that voodoo donuts weren't working. The second night that I distributed my survey, I took a different approach. I baked some homemade bread, and as soon as I took it out of the oven, I wrapped it in a towel and biked down to the college. I thought, who could resist the smell of fresh baked bread? It did seem to be more appealing to the English language students, and I received more responses to my survey. Overall, 40 immigrant and refugee students completed my survey, as well as 28 students that were born in the U.S. As you can see here, despite my best efforts, sometimes the language and cultural barrier was too great to overcome. There was one lady from Africa who spoke none of the languages that my survey was translated into. With the help of pictures and gestures, I was finally able to communicate to her what I was asking. When she realized what I was trying to ask her, she responded quite surprised, "Me on a scooter?" and she started laughing at me so hard she was almost in tears. So, had scooter use penetrated the culture of the college? The answer is a resounding no. Of the 40 English language students, none had ever used a Lime or Bird scooter. Of the 28 students that were born in the U.S., only one had ever used a Lime or Bird scooter. One of my survey questions was, in your opinion, is there anything that would make you more comfortable with trying these scooters? I asked this question because, according to Nieto, for the most part, discussions about developing strategies to solve educational problems lack the perspectives from the very group they affect. Unfortunately, the response I received to this question was limited. 5 students answered, a car. There did seem to be something profound that I saw when I compiled the survey results. Of the students born in the U.S., 6 participants took the bus to college and 15 drove. But when it came to the immigrant and refugee students, that proportion flipped. 22 students took the bus and 10 drove. And of those 22 students, 13 of them spent 50 minutes or more commuting to the college from their house. And 5 of those 13 students were from the Democratic Republic of Congo. According to the Washington Post, today race, socioeconomics, and transportation remain intimately linked. Bus riders across the nation are poorer and more likely to be minorities than those traveling by car. Since the recession, more than 70% of the nation's transit agencies have cut services or raised fares, according to the American Public Transportation Association, having a disproportionate impact on the poor. Last week, Angie Schmidt, the editor of Streets blog, was interviewed by NPR's program On the Media. I'd like to share with you what she had to say.
I think in our transportation system in the United States, we really have a 2-tiered system. Around the country right now, There's multiple places that are spending $1 billion on an interchange. So we really don't spare any expense for drivers. But for people who don't drive, and about a third of Americans, because of age or other reasons, don't drive, the underlying system is very second rate. It's very incomplete. A lot of times it's unsafe. And I think that people who are walking, taking transit, a lot of times they're sort of on the margins. And so they're attracting police attention. And that can put them at risk.
Barring.
So the fact that the students aren't using the scooters, I don't think it's really a problem. But when a third of the English language students are spending 50 minutes or more commuting to school, that is a problem. According to Villegas and Lucas, social inequalities are produced and perpetuated through systematic discrimination and justified through societal ideology of merit, social mobility, and individual responsibility. Ovando and Combs state that macro forces are large socioeconomic and political patterns that are generally not accessible to intervention strategies on part of educators. It has to do with who holds wealth and power in society and how the distribution of such status is maintained or altered. That may be true, but at least we can contribute to the public conversation about such forces. Last week I met with Jill Locantor, the executive director of Walk Denver. When I shared the results of my survey with her, she agreed that this is a problem that the students are spending so long commuting to attend class at the college. She was glad to have access to my survey results. Since advocating for people who don't drive is her focus, I was glad to provide this information to her. Returning to my original inquiry regarding scooter use among immigrants and refugees, Jill had an interesting perspective. Before we met, she thought it was possible that immigrants and refugee students could be using the scooters because the immigrant population in New York City has recently adopted the use of electric bicycles on a large scale. Now the city has banned electric bicycles in a move that many see as hostile to the immigrant community. Jill also had a superb suggestion for me. If I'm ever to do a follow-up project on this issue, rather than having the students fill out a survey, she suggested that I assemble a focus group of students and sit down for an extended interview with them. This would allow them to more fully express their thoughts, opinions, and suggestions on the topics of public transportation and scooter use.